I'm gonna point it at me. That way, they technically see the same view that you would have got.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, bet. Um. So yeah, string 6, Eddie. String 5, 8. String 4, Dynamite. Eddie, 8, Dynamite. String 3 is good. String 2 is bye. String 1 is Eddie.
Okay.
So Eddie, 8, Dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. String 6 and string 1 should sound the same. And because it doesn't, that's how we know that it's not properly in tune. But I got my tuner up. I took the headphones out. Hopefully it should pick up properly. And still nothing. Checking the sound one more time. Sound settings is horrible. MacBook. There we go. MacBook. There we go. So you see how it says the letter E. That lets me know that it's picking up the right note. But even though it says the letter E, it's not giving me green and it says -30. So we twist these knobs in order to tune it. You need to tighten it.
Okay.
If it's green, it's good. It's gonna have a range of what's good. Like -5, +5 might be good enough. So, and I'm gonna change the visual to show the guitar strings instead. That's why I like this tuner, but there are specific ones that also help. Cool. Try your E string, and let's check it on your tuner. This has a good battery, perfect. So, rotate, lift up, perfect. Your tuner is saying D sharp. Play it again. D sharp is under E, because the lower the number, the lower the note. I mean, the lower the letter. Closer to A is a lower note. Higher up is a higher note. And it also repeats A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So after G, it starts back over. Since it's saying D, that means it's right underneath E. So you would need to tighten it so that it can get closer to E. So follow the string all the way to it. It technically takes you to this one. So that's the one that you would twist. And only twist it while it's playing. That way you can see the adjustments in real time. Tighten it. Is that tightening or loosening?
It's loosening.
Yeah. You could do drastic adjustments. It's not gonna hurt nothing too bad.
Still on that D.
You can tighten it like a lot.
Oh, okay. Now it's on the E.
Yeah. But it says minus still, or it's like technically yours will look red. Okay, that's green. Play one more time. Okay, tighten it. I think we don't want it to be at the bottom, but we want it to be in the center.
It's supposed to, like when it's all the way right, it has the blue all the way around.
Yeah, cool. So tighten it some more. Drastically. So probably.
There goes E.
But still tighten it drastically, because E is a wide range. That's like real minimal. You can twist it. So it's getting closer to blue. A lot more. That's probably good.
There we go. Wait,
There we go.
there we go. There it is.
And that's the same case for A and D and G and B and E. Technically, if one of them are out of tune, you could probably bet your money that all of them are out of tune. So that one probably either says G sharp or A flat.
It says G.
G, yeah. So you have to tighten that one. That's this one in the middle.
Okay. So what should it say?
A, Eddie, 8, Dynamite.
Oh.
You can do it like a big twist. Yeah. If it usually
Got
says
it.
another letter.
I'm on A.
If it usually says another letter, small incremental twists on the tuner machine isn't gonna do much, because it's a whole note off. That's probably real close.
Yeah, I'm there.
Next string, D. Eddie, 8, Dynamite. Yep. That one probably says C. Yeah.
It says C.
Close.
Stuck on that C.
Yeah.
There goes D. Well, it's
Okay.
coming. It's coming. It's coming. Still got a little yellow in it.
And that's cool.
Now we got it.
Mm-hmm. Next one is G.
I'm already on the G, but
Okay.
it's coming. I'm on the G, but
Ooh. So you're twisting E right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. That one.
Okay. Next one is B.
Mm-hmm. Come on now.
Eddie ain't dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. That's the easiest way to remember that.
I've heard a lot of different ones though. Like
I'm there on that B. I'm there.
perfect. Yeah, that sounds right. And then high pitch E.
All right, then.
Yeah.
That D right now.
Now the front of the shirt is close. Oh no.
I'm close, but not quite. Okay, it's coming to E. I'm there. I'm there.
So remember, string 6 is the one closest to your face. String 1 is the one closest to your leg.
Okay.
And the strings all have different letter names for the different pitches. The lower the note, it will probably be on string 6. The higher the note, it'll probably be on string 5. But you can find the same note different places. Although there's only 7 letters in the musical alphabet, it repeats because it's not just 7 notes. There's actually 12 notes in music. So we have 2 symbols to help us understand what those 12 notes are. And I'm pulling up. I wish I could open up the one that I always go to. Where is it? The guitarist whiteboard. We have 2 symbols to help us define what all 12 notes in music are. One of them looks like a hashtag, and one of them looks like a lowercase b. So these are all 12 notes of music as it repeats. You see the 7 letters of the musical alphabet, right?
Okay.
A, B, and C is right next to each other. D, E, and F is right next to each other. G, and A. Easier to know that those notes are right next to each other, mainly because you could look at a piano. Guitar and piano are cousins. They're very similar, but piano is easier to see. It's very virtual. It's very easy to see. So all of the natural notes that we were just talking about would be the white keys on a piano.
Okay.
Natural notes meaning there's no symbol on it. So this one starts with C, D, E, and F right next to each other. That's why I wrote E and F right next to each other. If there's a black key in between it, that's when we'll add this symbol. So A, or A is right here. I raise it up, it becomes A sharp. There goes B right next to it. B and C are right next to each other. So all of the white keys, if we just looked at the white keys only, we got it groupings of 2 black keys, groupings of 3 black keys. That's how we can tell the sequence and the pattern. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 before it repeats. Then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's very pattern based. You'll start to notice patterns and everything will make sense. So 7 white keys for the 7 natural notes before it repeats. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And those 5 black keys will guide us to learn all 12 notes of music. That can become very confusing real quick, which is why I try to not talk too much about it on the beginning stages, but I try to at least just mention it. That way you know there's 12 notes of music, 7 letters in the alphabet. Reason why it's so important to mention, when you are tuning, yes, it might have said D, but there's so many different ways of looking at the note D. Pulling up this is all those letters. This is A. Both of these say B, but that's the B with the symbol. That's the A with the symbol. Okay. So it's 2 different ways of saying an A. It's one way of saying B. 2 different ways of saying C and all the different things. So it might have said B while you were on the B string, right? You're on the B string. It might have said B, but it could have said B flat. And that's not the string of the guitar. B is the string of the guitar. So, to explain that one more time, this symbol right here that looks like a hashtag, looks like a pound, we call that sharp. This symbol that looks like a lowercase b, we call that flat. And it helps us learn all 12 notes of music. The notes will always repeat though. A, symbols, B, C, symbol, D, symbol, E, F, symbol, G, symbol. Then it goes back to A, And it keeps going on and on and on. Just like how the piano doesn't stop. You'll see the pattern with the groupings of 2, groups of 3, groupings of 2, groupings of 3. The grouping of 2, this is the same note. The left side on the grouping of 2. Just like how these are both E. But this is a low E, this is a high E. So once it repeats, it becomes the same letter name. It sounds similar, but it's lower versus higher. It's still the same. So it's kind of like listening to a choir. You ever heard a choir? And they're not singing in harmony. They're not all harmonizing. They all singing the same exact notes. But the girls and the guys are singing. The guys aren't trying to reach the girls' note. They're just singing it where they're comfortable, while the girls are also singing it where they're comfortable. They're still singing the same note. It's just 2 different places. So, same note, or doing it there. Oh, Mr. String. So, it's the same note. It's just different ways of playing it. And that's what we call a word that we like to say octaves. O-C-T-A-V-E. So this low E is a different octave than this high E. These frets also change the notes. So the metal bars on the neck of the guitar are what we call frets, right? But it's not just the metal bar, it's the spacing between the metal bars too.
Okay.
So the metal bars are physical, they're called frets. But as long as you're within the zone of the fret, it's a fret as well. So the entire thing itself is called a fretboard. The zone between the white bar right there and the first metal bar, we call that the first fret.
Okay.
Then the next 2 metal bars, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Another thing versus your instrument, which is the classical guitar, my instrument, acoustic, or even electrics, I have markers, these dots, on my fretboard to help me navigate. You don't have that, so it's kind of more challenging for you. Not only is it on the fretboard, but it's on the side of the neck too. So it makes it easier for me. So if I had to say, or if I had to figure out what note I'm playing, and I hear it and it sounds like a certain note, and I know where that is on the guitar, I can quickly navigate to it because I can see, oh, it's on the 5th fret, and I see the 5th fret just from looking at the marker. Oh, it's on the 7th fret. I see the 7th fret just from looking at the marker. Or even 6, I see 5 and 7, so it's in between, and it's easy for me to recognize those things. On your instrument, you might just have to get used to it. I do know some people who've like taken a whiteout pen and like added their own markers to the fretboard and to the sides and things of that nature, whatever works for you. I've seen some people use tape. Not a fan of tape. That's just me. It leaves residue and stuff. So just as long as you can make it make sense. But the 1st fret zone, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. As we are changing frets, we are going through all of these notes until it repeats, right? So if I'm playing A string, that's the note A. I'm going to show it on the tuner. That's the note A. If I press the 1st fret, I just went up. It says B flat, but it's also A sharp. 2nd fret, 3rd fret. So you see how the notes get higher and it's just getting higher and higher and higher on the guitar until it repeats. So I just played A again by playing it on the 12th fret. Because 12 notes in music, once you hit a certain system, it's going to repeat over and over and over again. So certain patterns is going to make it easier for you. All that to say, learning your notes will help. A lot of guitarists, though, they like to use the cheat codes, which is learning shapes. Shapes are a big thing. So when you learn how to read chords and read music, a lot of it is shape-based. And we're going to look at a little bit of that today. That way you can learn quicker. Those shapes help you learn quicker, but they're cheat codes. It's still nothing like learning the right way to do it, which is learning the notes and why the notes are all the things. And that's kind of like theory-based. Everybody doesn't learn the theory. They just learn how to get the quickest result. So we talked about the anatomy. We talked about the notes. We talked about the strings. We talked about frets. We talked about a tuner, which is tuning. There's certain like things like picks and capos that can also help you play easier, but it's not necessary. There's ways around it. So if you see people say you need a tool to do this, it's not always true that you'll need a tool. There's ways around it, but tools make it easier. And I was telling you about those cheat codes. So we talked about sharps and flats, which is another word for that is accidentals. So we talked about that. The next thing that we have to talk about is how to put our hands on the instrument so that we can actually play stuff. But usually when I'm talking about how to put your hand on the instrument, I like to talk about reading the music too. That way we can learn where to put our hands on the instrument. So if you were watching YouTube videos, they probably were trying to teach you from tablature or chord charts. We call it tabs for short, or chord charts, which just look like a bunch of charts. And I'm gonna pull up another music visual for guitars, so that can make sense. I'm gonna full screen this. You can see this well, right?
Oh yeah.
So tablature, chord charts, and then a universal method of reading music, which all musicians use, is the music staff. But pianists, sax, trombone, all of those instruments primarily use the music staff. The benefit about tablature and chord charts, it was made specifically for us, like for string instruments, guitars. Tablature has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Why do you think it got 6 lines?
There's 6 notes on the guitar.
6 strings. So all of these lines are dedicated to a specific string. Although the one closest to our face is string 6, when we're looking at it on tablature, it's at the bottom. So it's flipped upside down, kind of like you would have to look at it like this in order for it to make sense. So those are the strings. Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, from bottom to top when you're reading it. But when you're looking at your guitar, it's technically from top to bottom. So it'll get slightly confusing, but just remember this is Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. So we're gonna talk about that. What string is this? Could you play that string? Close. So there's a line at the bottom. Eddie, 8, Dynamite.
Oh, that's this string.
Mm-hmm. What about this one? Eddie, 8. So you're on Bye. Remember, it's upside down. Yeah, that's
This
the thing.
one.
Yes,
This one.
that's the thing that's going to trip us up. Solid. Another one?
Oh. Same one?
No, new one. The one we were looking at before was this. Now
Okay.
we're looking at this orange one.
Okay. All right.
Eddie.
Okay, that'll be this.
Eddie. Close. Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye. So it's the one right underneath it. Yep. Gotta remember that there's a line at the bottom, right underneath the beat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What about this one?
Okay. Is it that one?
You're close. Look at it though on
All
your
right,
guitar.
let me look at it. Okay.
There it goes. Yep. I know you were trying to feel for it without looking at the guitar, and pros can do that. Like professional guitarists, they don't have to look at the guitar. They can just feel the guitar and know where they are without looking. But in the beginning phases, it might help if you just looked just a little bit
Okay.
until you gain the muscle memory of where it's what, and then everything's easier. 2 more. This one's easy.
That one.
There you go. I thought you were gonna go for the high pitched one for a second, and then the last one, high pitched one. Solid. And we could do this all day. I have it looped around so that we could do it all day, but I prefer to at least just introduce it, and then if we need to work on it, we can keep doing that more for like actual practice sake. But although those are the strings, whenever you're looking at notes on tablature, it'll have numbers.
Okay.
Those numbers let you know what fret to play. So all of these numbers are on the top line. That means it's not on Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye, but it's on the high pitch E. Yes. The number lets you know what fret to actually press down on. So it says 4, that means you're on the 4th fret.
Right.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Right.
Boom, easy. Number 2, 2nd fret. 0 means open, nothing pressed down. Yep. Technically, this will play Mary Had a Little Lamb. I usually try to avoid nursery rhymes though, because as a music educator, I just find nursery rhymes corny and like very elementary school. I teach high school, and them kids do not want to play Hot Cross Buns and Mary Had a Little Lamb and none of that. So usually I show this as an example of how to read, but then we go into other songs that I find more interesting. One of the first songs that I usually teach them though is Ain't No Sunshine, because that's a easy, numbers are right there. It's like 4 notes for the whole song, so it's easy to follow. Just like this, it's only 3 notes, but we don't have to Mary Had a Little Lamb in order to learn those 3 notes. So that's tablature. The next step will be to learn chord charts, but before we get on chord charts, I would like to show you practical ways of looking at tablature, right? So on YouTube, you might see it any type of way. You never know what it's really gonna show because the YouTuber might have a different way of showing tabs. This website though is called Ultimate Guitar. This is a very popular tab website. I don't like it at all because of the way how it looks, and I'm going to show you another alternative. But here's some tabs. Creep Radiohead. I don't know if that's tabs or chords. It's chords. I don't know why I said tabs. Explore type tab. What are we looking at? There's a lot of rock music. I first asked you what type of music.
I like rock music.
Cool.
One of my favorite songs that I really want to learn how to play is a song by the Romantics.
Okay, what's
Talking in Your Sleep.
Talking in Your Sleep.
Show me how. I know you can play it. Play that for me.
If I hear it, I can play anything I hear.
You know that song.
I will have to hear it just so that I could make sure I know what we talk about. Talking in Your Sleep.
Yeah, play that. I know you can play it.
Romantics.
There it is.
Introducing Remarkable Paper Pro.
I want to learn how to play this song.
Gotcha. It's straightforward. That one might be a little challenging, but we can work our way up to it.
One day I was on YouTube when I was doing it. I was going. I was using my thumb.
Probably the bass. That's cool.
I was doing the bass line.
Yes, but that also works because that's part of the learning process.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That wasn't it.
The string underneath it. The A string.
Right.
3, 4, 5. Yep.
All right.
Yep. And that's the next step that we're going to talk about as we're reading.
How do I get my fingers to cooperate? I can't get my left hand.
So technically, your hand looks good. It's really just the placement of where you're putting it.
That's what I'm saying. I need to get that going.
We got you. I got you.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Let's do it.
And it's a guitar song. And you know Prince, just without question.
All good.
When You Were Mine by Prince.
When You Were Mine by Prince.
You remember that?
I've heard it.
You've heard it?
My wife's mom, so my mom-in-law, loves Prince. Die-hard Prince fan.
That's one of my favorite guitar songs.
For sure. We can definitely do that as well.
Because it was the guy that was in the band with Prince at the time. His name was Des Dickerson. He was the one playing most of the lead for Prince.
Yes. And oftentimes Prince will hop on that guitar too.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying, Prince told Des, hey man, I'm going to step back and let you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what. I've been watching a lot of Prince YouTube videos where they talk about his creative process and stuff.
This how tabs could look. That's very confusing. Like, you still see the lines, don't get me wrong. But because they have dashes and everything, and it looks very, like, retro.
What do the dashes represent?
It's supposed to be the space between notes, like how long it's supposed to last. But this isn't very clear, in my opinion. So this is the reason why the dashes, if they were connected, it looked like a line. It looked like a string. But because it's written like this, I think they liked the retro vintage look for it to look like that. I do not like this website for that reason. Granted, when I started, I was reading music like that. But I use this website instead. Reason why I use this website. Ooh, that's the bass guitar. Reason why I use this website. Okay, that's why it's the bass guitar. Showing me just the bass. This, I feel like, is a more, it's cleaner. It's clean cut. You can actually see what you're looking at. So those are the 5 lines, or the 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
You still see this at the top, which is the music staff that I was telling you about earlier. We didn't look at it per se, but it was on the checklist of ways how we could read music. On this website, though, if I wanted to, I could hide that. That way I could just only see what I need to see. That way I could focus only on the tabs.
Okay.
Right now, I don't like the way how it's fitting. There's certain settings where you can fit it to the screen. That way, if I zoomed in or zoomed out, it would just adjust better. So I like this website for that reason. Another reason why I like this website, if you press the play button, it'll actually play the music along with it if it's linked to YouTube. So you see everything as it's moving. Very easy to follow along too. All of these notes are on the low pitch E string because it's at the bottom of the line. Bottom of the 6 lines. So it's very, very easy to follow along to with a song like this. But we can always do your favorite songs. So this is the reason why I look at this type of websites. When it comes to reading tabs, I also write music using this platform. So the song that you want to learn, I'll chart it out. I wrote this out. Even when it comes to teaching my high school students, they don't want to learn those nursery rhymes like I told you. And if we were learning from a book, it would be teaching nursery rhymes or anything that's already printed. But if they want to learn their favorite song, a recent song, a song that just came out, there's probably no sheet music for it until somebody writes sheet music for it. So I've been writing sheet music probably since middle school. And once I learned how sheet music works, I tried and I've just been doing it day in, day out, trying to make it make sense. And now I do it almost daily for my students. That way everything can make sense for them in a song that they would rather learn. I also teach people how to write their own sheet music too. That way they don't have to rely on me all the time. Even though sometimes they rather take the easier route and just ask me to do it for them. But kind of like teaching the man to fish versus just giving them a fish. So same concept. So that's tabs. Could we just try those 4 notes just so that I know proof of concept? You could read it. I'm gonna zoom in on first 4 right here.
Okay, now
Focus on it.
on that, is that representative of it upside down or
Upside down, always. Whenever you
Okay.
see these 6 lines,
okay?
upside down. So because it's at the bottom,
Okay.
the string at the top. Not that one. If there was a line underneath it, then it would be that.
But I don't see.
The 5 lets you know what fret to play.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you were going for string 5. That makes sense. 4, 5. Boom. That's the first note. 5. 0 is open.
All right. Wait a minute.
Oh, and now that we're doing that, this is the best time to talk about where to place your fingers. Closer to the metal bar. So you see how in between this gap, you can press down anywhere in the gap, it'll play the note. But if you play close to the metal bar, not on it, but close to.
So we're on the 5th one.
Yep. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close to the metal bar though. That's the best place to play it for the cleanest sound. Yup. Open, then 3rd.
All right. The second note is.
Yes. Open, then the 3rd fret.
Oh, the 3rd fret.
And then it's back to the 5th fret. Solid. And that's smooth. Although you didn't play it close to the metal bar, you still made a good sound. The thing about not playing it close to the metal bar, right now I'm not applying that much pressure and you can hear how it's vibrating. If you apply enough pressure though, you don't have to play close to the metal bar. But if you don't apply enough pressure, you'll get a fuzzy sound. If you play close to the metal bar, you don't have to apply that much pressure because of the leverage.
Oh.
Yup. So it makes it easier. It's the best for the cleanest sound and everything. And then 5. And that's the whole song. It repeats over and over.
Okay,
Ain't
let's
no
do that again.
sunshine when she's 5. Yup, open. 0, 3, 5. Only darkness every day. Open 3, 5. Solid. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. There's 2 more notes after that. 2 more notes after that. And that would be the whole song. The only other 2 notes before it repeats, 12, and it lasts a long time. 10, and it lasts a long time.
12.
Yes. So your guitar is built. So here's the difference between my guitar and your guitar. Oop. You see where the body of my guitar ends? 12 is on the double dot for me.
Okay.
The body of my guitar ends on the 14th fret. The body of most classicals will always end on the 12th fret. So if you're looking for 12, just look at the edge of the body. That's where 12 is.
Okay.
Not on the metal bar, but close to it. Yup. And then 10. And it's Yup. But you'll make those notes last longer. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. 2, 3, then 10. Anytime she goes away. That's 6. Yep, then 0, 3, 5. Easy, wasn't it? Smooth.
That was easy.
That
That was easy.
Come on, now it is.
Oh
That's
my
how I like
God,
to look
that
at it.
was easy.
Guitar is not as complicated as it could be. It'll get more challenging once we start like playing multiple strings at the same time and moving all over. But the reason why I say that's easy, all of the notes on one string. And now you got the best place to place your fingers, close to the metal bar.
Close every time, close to the metal bar.
As much as you can, just because it gives you the cleanest tone with the least amount of leverage needed. Now there will be times where you have to play all over the guitar. Like this is exaggerated. I got 4 fingers down, 4 different strings. My pinky is all the way over here. My pinky wouldn't even want to stretch to close to the metal bar. But as long as it's in that zone and you have the hand strength, you don't have to have it close to the metal bar. So I'm not applying hand strength, but once I apply that strength, once I press down a little bit harder, then I still get a clean sound. Same strength right now, but I'm gonna do it closer to the metal bar. Same strength, I didn't put nothing down. It still buzzes a little bit, but same leverage. Closer to the metal bar, it just gives it a cleaner sound without having to press down and hurt your fingers trying to put it on the guitar.
There was one guy, he was trying to get me to, on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I could not get the stretch. He was trying to get me to stretch
Yeah,
from here I just couldn't get that stretch for some reason.
and that's part
Because
of
I haven't, I use my hands. I'm a painter.
Yeah.
I hold paint brushes in left hand, right hand. I'm ambidextrous.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to stretch my fingers out,
Is a factor.
it's a whole new muscle movement.
Yes. So that's the biggest thing that I always tell, like first time or beginners or any of that. The hand, we think we have control over our hands so much until we have to actually specifically control one finger at a time, and then we realize how little control we have over our hand. Like I always have people do this thing where they point their fists at each other and they try to match their pinky and index finger and swap them back and forth. And a lot of times people aren't able to do that. They'll do the same finger on both hands and they're like, okay, hold on. Switch one, and then they have 2 fingers and they're like, wait a minute. And it's kind of like similar to rubbing your stomach and patting your head, having that sense of control. It is challenging, but the more that you play, the more control that you'll have. And the more that you focus on it, it's kind of like connecting your brain to your hand. Right now, your brain is just used to holding things. You know what I'm saying? But a whole different sense of muscle groupings.
Yes.
Playing guitar will hurt your hands after a while. Kind of like holding a paintbrush. If you have to do a large job, after a while, it'll hurt your hands. But the more that you do it, you build up endurance. Those guitars are way more forgiving because it's nylon strings. Metal strings, you're digging into metal. Nylon is not going to be as painful.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
he told me my fingers won't bleed.
yeah.
I wonder if that's why he bought me this one.
Probably. It's larger, your fingers won't bleed, all the things. But for the purposes of what it's designed for, I'm pretty sure it's mainly for those more solemn sounds that are better versus if you're trying to actually play something with some grit. You can hear the grit, the shine, the brilliance of this big metal. Your guitar will still reverberate, but it'll just sound very warm, kind of like, how do I explain it? You hear how warm this sounds compared to this sounding bright.
I have another friend who has a singing group, a music group.
Sounds good.
And he's an electrician. He's got a studio in the back of his house. Everything. He's like, man, okay, when are you gonna play some chords?
Yeah.
No, oh man, they put pressure.
You need that. You
I
need
know,
somebody
but
to push you though.
But I'm saying, how do I play a chord?
So I'm glad you said that because that was the next step on the reading journey that we were talking about. What we previously talked about was tabs, how to look at the frets and all the things. The next step is chords. This is a chord chart. Chords, essentially, though, there's two types of aspects when it comes to music. Melody, single notes. Harmony, multiple notes. Chords are when you're just playing more than one note at the same time. So if you try to play all 6 strings and make, you technically, it's not a real chord, not a pretty chord.
But you didn't have your left
I didn't
hand
have
on.
nothing down. It's not a real chord, but we just play multiple strings at the same time. So let's
But how
focus.
do I do it with my? Okay.
So there's a formula to it. Like if you actually put specific letters together, it will sound like a particular chord. Sound good, sound bad, sound like dissonance, sound like tense, sound like it's resolving, sound like it's harmonious. So there's different things, kind of like this. That doesn't sound like it's actually a pretty chord. It sounds like confusing, like what's about to happen. But it can lead to something that might sound prettier. You know what I'm saying? So different aspects of chords make up a whole big like language, and it gets way more confusing because when you start focusing on the notes aspect of it, you're gonna have to like hammer down. Chords is kind of like not addition, but multiplication. You know what I'm saying? Playing one note at a time, I'll consider that addition. Chords, you multiplying. So it starts to get a little bit more tedious if we were to compare it to math, which is why a lot of people use those cheat sheets, use cheat codes all the time. And technically, guitar was designed for cheat codes. Shapes. I told you about the shapes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm playing. This is a real funky bluesy chord. Like people use this all the time. Right now, the last chord I just played, this shape, I can move it all around the guitar. It's the exact same shape. So if I were to play that song again, same shape, I'm just moving it around the guitar. And it makes it so much easier to play because now instead of focusing on what chord by letter name am I playing, I'm just focusing on shapes. So chord charts are going to introduce you to a bunch of different shapes. But there's so many different ways to play the same note, just like there's so many different ways to play the same chord. Here's one chord, one shape. Here's that same chord, a different place. Here's that same chord, a different place. All of them sound similar. But some of them might sound a little brighter, some of them might sound a little darker, depending on it. Chord charts will help you just understand the shape. So when we're looking at chord charts, we're looking at it like this. Thick bar at the top is this thick bar right here.
Okay.
Yep. From left to right is Eddie 8 Dynamite Good by Eddie.
Okay. From left to right. Okay.
Yes. So the vertical lines are
Left
the
is
strings.
left is top, right is bottom.
Yes. The vertical lines are the strings.
All right.
So that's why I said left to right, the 6 vertical lines.
Okay.
Horizontally, though, are the frets.
Right.
So this entire zone is the 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret.
Okay.
Eddie 8 Dynamite Good by Eddie from left to right. Now, when you're looking at chord charts, you'll see a bunch of different things. Stuff like this. X's, open circles, and filled in circles. X's mean you don't play that string. So with this chord in particular, we're only playing 3 strings.
But the filled in string.
It's the dot you press. So it's only on this 1st fret. Right now, your finger's on the 2nd fret.
All right. It's on the first
Yeah.
fret.
Those open circles
okay,
are
okay.
open
Got it,
strings. Those open circles are open strings.
Ooh.
So technically, those X's you don't have to strum. So make sure you start from string 3 from the good string. And you can do it with your thumb. Oop, you're still hitting this string by mistake.
All right, hit this one.
Okay. And I'm hearing it as if your index finger is or your middle finger is pressing down the high pitch string too. So you might need to curve. Let's do one string at a time. I hear open. I hear the 1st fret of B. I want open E next. The next string, all the way to the bottom. So nothing should be pressed down on that one. It should be open. Yes, but you got to keep your finger down in order to
Oh,
play
keep
it.
your finger down.
Finger on the B string.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Open on the bottom string.
Yes. So you'll have to readjust your hand in order for it to work.
All right. So how do I readjust my hand to make that?
Try a
work?
different finger. That was good. Try your index finger though. Pull it down. Yep. So that's an aspect.
Yeah, because my finger is in the way of
of the other strings.
Right.
So this is the finger, right? Most times people like to play with the flats of their fingers, but you're really supposed to be playing with like the very fingertip. If you got fingernails though, it can get in the way. As a guitarist, I always cut my left hand fingernails. Oop. I always cut my left hand fingernails. That way
Okay.
I can get my fingers real close to the string without having to worry about my nails touching the wood and moving my fingers all over the place.
Okay.
My right hand though, I keep it a little bit longer just in case I wanted to play with my fingernails finger style. Because when you're playing that classical guitar that you have, most times you're supposed to play with your fingernails, not just the flesh of your thumb or the flesh of your hand, or where your nail and your flesh meet, to be more specific. Oh, one other aspect though, and that's another thing I didn't talk about yet. Thumb placement. That makes a world of a difference too. Right now, it looks like you're holding the guitar, so the palm of your guitar is holding the bottom, and that's because your thumb is at the top. If you wrap your thumb underneath and you don't hold the bottom of the guitar, so I have an opening, while still pressing the fret, it might allow you to get, up one string higher though. Your index finger got to go one string higher though.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes. Finger still getting in the way. Oh, that was good. That's best. Now if you could do all 3 strings, that's a chord.
So when you say do all 3 strings?
Open B, open G, first fret of B, open E. So open good, first fret of B, open A.
Wait a minute.
That's good. Yeah. Chords are the most challenging aspect of playing guitar.
But I still can't get my finger. Say try to keep my thumb under it.
Yes. And try to play with your fingertip. So it's kind of like you're lifting up that finger as much as you can. Might need to curve the finger.
I might need to shave that nail
Mhm.
because
That's a
that nail
factor.
is a little longer.
Mm-hmm. You think your ring finger is shorter? Your ring fingernail? Yeah, let's go for that one. Ring fingernail, first fret, yep. Yeah, that's good. Now all 3 strings.
All right, what did you say? All 3?
Yep, all 3. Ah, very close. Yep. And then if you did it quicker, or just strummed quick all down instead of doing one string at a time, that's a chord.
Oh, that's a chord.
It's challenging. Yes, it's challenging.
I
It's
gotta
the
shave my
fingernails, though,
finger.
yeah.
Plus, I gotta remember
How to hold it. yeah.
how to hold it.
Chords are gonna push you into holding things a particular way. There are popular chords, very common chords in guitar, and this is what it looks like. And different chord charts will show you different things, right? So this chord chart has a lot of numbers on it within those filled-in circles. Those numbers are for your left hand. So the chord that we looked at the first time with the open dot open, that was part of the C chord, except I had 3 X's at the top. If we were to play the real C chord, it would take 3 different fingers in order to play it, and it will require you to have your fingers shaved off. That one might be more challenging. One of the easiest chords to play on here. Let's go for E minor. That one's the easiest chord. Let's look at this one.
Okay.
Just because it's the easiest. Says fingers 2 and 3. So that's your middle finger and this is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Index to pinky is 1, 2, 4.
It's on the 2nd fret,
Yes.
and the other one is on the.
Also on the 2nd
Okay.
fret, but on the A string. On the D string instead.
All right.
So both your fingers will be stacked on top of each other.
Ah.
Yeah. And then all 6 strings. That's a chord. E minor. I don't know if I heard Eddie. I didn't know if I heard 8 Dynamite though. Could you do 1 string at a time? That one. So that's the reason why whenever I'm learning chords, I like to play 1 string at a time. And when I know I hear every string, then I'm like, okay, I heard all of them. I strum all of them. Because some chords are going to be very awkward to play. Like even this. I have my fingers stretched very wide, and I'm trying to play it, and some of it might not come out like that pinky. But then when it does, I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I can play it, and I'll do one string at a time just so I can hear which one isn't coming out, and I'll make the adjustment how I have to. But chords require a lot of hand adjustment and like figuring it out. And there's advanced chords, beginner chords, and other things. These are the most common, but I would say these would be considered beginner chords too, but all of them are easy though. So I know reading tabs, it was easy because it was one string, one note. We only had to worry about one note at a time. This is when it gets difficult, but this is music. Music, especially guitar, plays chords. Guitar, piano, any instrument that can play multiple notes at the same time. We're one of the few that could play chords, so we're used to play chords. Okay. But all those other instruments that can play one note at a time, like that trombone, it can only play one note.
Play that too?
I play brass, yeah.
Wow.
I grew up in the band world. I was the drum major at Tennessee State. That's why I got all those whistles.
Okay.
Yep.
When did you graduate?
2020.
You're young dude.
But
you've been doing it a long time. I can tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Grew up in a musical family. All of them were very influential for my musical journey. My mom, choir director for the kids choir, so she forced me to sing all the way till I was like 16.
What city?
Decatur. I'm born and raised
here.
here.
Yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm born and raised here.
I'm from Kansas City.
Solid. But yeah. So for the most part, we talked about, just to recap everything we talked about. Parts of the guitar, and I'm going back to that checklist.
Okay.
We talked about, and boom, I hit all the points that I wanted to. I mentioned cage chords, but we didn't really play all of them. Yeah, cool. We talked about parts of the guitar. So the head, the body, the neck. And understanding parts of the guitar is mainly good for comparison's sake, but also if something's messed up, you know what's messed up and what to look up if you gotta fix it. Just like learning parts of a car. You can't say your car broke and you don't even know what the part is. So
but I can. I don't know nothing about a car.
Okay, well, it helps.
I'm just saying. I've never got the knack for that.
That's real.
Something goes wrong, I go to the mechanic.
Mm-hmm. And the mechanic will tell you this is what's wrong, though. Yeah. And you'll hear certain things over and over again, and it'll just help you remember it. But I'm not the biggest car guy myself either. No. But head, neck, body. The body is different per guitar. Like, electric guitars have a bunch of different bodies. That's why I'm gonna grab my other electric. That way you can just see the comparison state of that. Oh. Two different body types. This one we call a Jazzmaster body type. This one we call a Stratocaster body type.
Right.
And there's different ones. They even make some electric guitars that have that same body type as an acoustic guitar, but it's really just body types can play a factor in the sound, but honestly, at a certain point, knowing the parts of the guitar is better for preference. What you think looks good and all the things, what you're gravitating towards. Even the headstock. Headstock is slightly different. Slightly different. This one is kind of skinnier, kind of smoother. Mm-hmm. This one's more rigid. So it plays a factor, but it's not the end all be all. It's just what you think looks better, what you think looks worse. Why do you think it looks like that? The biggest thing that I think makes the world of a difference for guitars is feel. So once you grab the guitar, how does it feel? How wide is it? How round is it? All those things. So if you ever go to like a guitar center or anywhere that has a bunch of guitars on the wall, they allow you to test them for that reason. Parts of the guitar.
So I need to shave my nails all the way down.
As much as you can.
On the left hand.
Consistently. Left hand. Some people do both, but the right hand is good for if you were to play with your nails. But that's what some people use picks for. And they make some picks that wrap around your fingers. That way you don't have to keep your fingernails. You could just use the finger picks. So, parts of the guitar, shave your nails. Guitar accessories, we talked about the pick. We talked about tuners. Guitar straps don't technically work for that guitar. Is there a button at the bottom on this side?
No.
Yeah, so guitar straps wouldn't work for that guitar. But
I
that
asked him about that too. He's like, you don't have to worry about that right now.
yeah, you can sit
Dr.
down.
Irvin's a trip, man. He bought this for me for Christmas because he said, as much as you love music,
This is the
he
time
said,
to do
you're
it.
going to figure this out.
Oh, for sure.
That's what he told me.
You're gonna hear things, and you're just gonna be able to adjust to it just from hearing it too.
Yeah.
We talked about the notes of music, 7 letters in the musical alphabet, A through G, and then it repeats A B C D E F G, A B C D E F G, A B C D E F G. It helps you to identify what notes you're playing, so on your tuner. Although we talked about the 7 letters, I said there's 2 symbols which we call accidentals, which you'll also see, but don't stress about those 2 symbols just yet. Is these 2 symbols right here, a sharp, which looks like a hashtag or looks like a pound symbol, and a flat, which looks like a lowercase b. Sharps raise the note, flats lower the note. So if it says A sharp, that means you're too high for A. You know what I'm saying? If it says B flat, that means you're too low for B, because you're lower than B. If it says A sharp, that means you're higher than A. So you have to. It just depends on how what connotation that you're looking at it. But all of those symbols will help you recognize that there's 12 notes in music. 7 letters, the 12 notes. And we'll talk more about that later down the line, because you're gonna have to recognize what notes are on these frets. Like how I showed you, if I press A, if I press A, or if I played A, nothing pressed down, that's the note A. As soon as I press it down, that's B flat or A sharp. That's B. So this will sound like my open B string, which is the reason why I said you could play this note here and here and here and here. You're gonna learn the notes of the guitar. All 7 letters, all 12 notes, you're gonna learn where they are on the fretboard, not just the open strings saying E string 3rd fret. You're gonna know, oh, that's G. That way you wouldn't have to only say this string, this fret, but you're gonna say, oh, that's G, in all the different places you can play that note. So, notes, strings of the guitar. String 6 is closest to your face, the lowest pitch.
Mm-hmm.
String 1 is the one closest to your leg. And we remember it by saying Eddie ain't dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Tuning your guitar, we talked about it. Tighten it if you're under. So if the visual of your tuner says you're under. And loosening it if it says you're over. But when you're tuning, just make sure you're tuning to the right string. Eddie ain't dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So if you're twisting knobs, like you're playing this one, and you're like, nothing's changing, it's because you're twisting the wrong knob. How do you figure out which knob to twist? You can just follow the string all the way to the tuning machine, and you'll recognize, oh, I was twisting the wrong thing. Whole time I was twisting G when I thought I was twisting E. So, gotta find that note again. So yeah, tuning. Digital tuners are good. Contact, which is what you have, the clip-on tuners, those are the best in my opinion, just because it doesn't hear, it feels the vibrations of your guitar, because all sound is vibration. Even when you're playing it, the entire guitar is vibrating. The wood at the top is vibrating. The sound is bouncing around the sound hole. The entire guitar is vibrating. So if I kept hitting the guitar, it would just keep the same sound playing. Even if I wasn't playing anything and I hit the guitar, it starts vibrating the strings because the entire thing is vibrating. So tablature, we looked at tablature. That's when you're looking at, do I have it open still? I do. That's when you're looking at, not that one, not that one. I don't have it open anymore. That's when you're looking at Eddie A Dynamite, good, but the 6 lines from bottom to top. That's not it. That was it. I lost it. I'm pulling it back up. I keep doing that. There it goes. That's when you're looking at the 6 lines from bottom to top. Eddie A Dynamite, goodbye Eddie.
Okay.
Or using that website that I showed you to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Even YouTube videos, they might have it like that. Just remember it's upside down. Eddie A Dynamite, goodbye Eddie, from bottom line to top, backwards from your guitar. And chord charts, Eddie A Dynamite, goodbye Eddie, from left to right. Where's the chord chart? From left to right. That way you have all the information that you need in order to understand what you're looking at.
Okay.
Cool. If there's X's on the chord chart, you don't play that string.
Open. X's are open.
X's mean don't play it.
I mean, don't even touch it.
You don't even have to play that string. So technically for this, we were only playing 3 strings. For the chords that I was showing you...
Okay, but it's only one dot.
One dot. That's a filled in dot. That's the fret.
Okay, and that's the first fret.
Of the B string. So you're playing 3 strings. Open G. First fret of B. Open. Yep. And that's the one that's going to need more. Yep, that's it. That's it. And then at the same time is the full chord instead of one at a time. But that's only part of a full chord. Yep, that's it. That's only part of a full chord.
Okay.
The real full chords would look like what I was showing you with these. And it's loading. With those. All of those have a bunch of different ones. Come on, you can load. There we go. So C chord at the top, which was part of the chord that we were learning the first time, except it had X's on 3 strings. Now it only has an X on 1 string. So we're only playing 5 strings. A chord, we're only playing 5 strings. G, we're playing all 6. We're playing on the E string, on the A string, open, dynamite, goodbye, and we're playing on the high pitch E string. So pressing that down, open, 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 pressing that down, and that's a G chord. E chord, ooh. E chord, we're also pressing some stuff down, but we're also playing all 3 strings. D chord, we're only playing 4 strings. And there's so many different ways to play these exact same chords all over the guitar. But these are the most standard approach to playing them. So that's that. That's pretty much everything that we went over today.
Okay.
So if you're ever looking some stuff up on YouTube and you see chord charts, or they say it's easy to read or it's easy to play, you might understand it just a little bit more because you have this basic foundation of where to get started. Now the checklist that we were looking at though, there's so many more things on here.
Okay.
And this is really like, you don't need all of this in order to play guitar.
Okay.
But these are the things that I would say are standard. Like you're gonna hear about these concepts when playing guitar. And if you don't, or if you hear about something that's not on this list, it's probably more advanced, which is a whole nother list. So this is a good beginner guitar checklist in my opinion. Hitting the points that we talked about, I would say is the first lesson checklist that I always talk about. We looked at Ain't No Sunshine. You said you wanted to learn that song by the Romantics. I can write that out for you, and we can start looking at that, using that platform.
I would like to learn When You Were Mine.
When You Were Mine.
And Jesse's Girl. You know that one?
Mm-hmm.
You know Jesse's Girl?
Is that also the Romantics?
No, Jesse's Girl's Rick Springfield. It's a classic R&B, rock and roll pop song.
So rock and roll is your primary? I know you said
I like, yeah, I do. I listen to everything.
Okay. But what do you like the most?
I'm whatever sounds good.
You sound
as long
like
as
me.
it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the genre is. Reggae too.
That's real. Jesse's Girl?
Yeah. When you hear it, you're gonna be like, I know it's
Nice.
He ended up being he started off as an actor, and then he said, I want to make a rock and roll out. This was a #1 hit. He played on a soap opera, General Hospital or something.
Yeah, I know this.
No, that's not it. The name of the song was Jesse's Girl. That's it.
I know Rick Springfield though.
That's Jesse's Girl. I want to learn how to do that.
That's power chords too.
Oh, that's what that is? I want to learn this song.
We could do it.
It's simple, and for you it's real, because you picked it up immediately.
I do this though.
I want to learn how to play this.
I I got you. Yeah, technically for gigs that I perform at all the time, they don't provide sheet music. Like how we were looking at tablature and chord charts. They just say, yeah, here, and they just hand me the phone, or like they'll give me a list of songs in advance, and I'll just have to listen to it. If I need to write it out, I'll write it out myself. But most times I'm just listening and adjusting and hearing it, and I'm like, okay, that's not quite right. Okay, this is closer, and just keep making those fine tunes until I've learned the song exactly the way how it is. But a lot of these songs sound similar to something else that already existed because there's only 12 notes. Because once you realize that there's only 12, you're going to start to see the patterns and recognize what's everything. Kind of like there's only so many colors. So it's like if somebody asks you to paint a particular color, granted, there's so many shades of it. I'm not going to minimize the fact that there's so many different shades, but there's only so many colors. So you're going to see it and you're going to be like, oh, that has to be this because that's part of this collection or that's part of this. So I understand what they did to mix that to get it to that point. So it's the same case for music. There's only 12 notes. You're going to hear so many things and you're going to be like, that sounds similar to this. That sounds similar to this. Oh, that sounds similar to this. And then because you already know how to play it, you're going to already catch on to things very quickly. So work in progress. It is a work in progress.
Yes.
Indeed.
So when can we get our next one?
Using that booking list.
Oh, I gotta use that.
Yes. For